The Scum Frog Leapfrog is the newest addition to the Scum Frog lineup. It was an ICast release, and over the past couple days I've gotten a chance to play around with them, and I'm going to give you all my overall thoughts and then the full breakdown behind this frog. So the first part that makes this frog unique is going to be the material. They say it is an open water to sparse cover frog, and as a result they gave it an incredibly soft material. This is the softest frog I have ever held or used, and as a result the hookup ratio is tremendous. That's kind of what it's built to be as an open water / sparse cover frog. The hookup ratio is tremendous. I mean, if you even try to drag your finger over, it's going to catch that frog. It collapses so well. The hooks are razor sharp, so the hookup ratio is tremendous. I used it for about a day, only caught a couple fish, but only had a couple bites. It wasn't really ideal frog fishing conditions. I was just too excited I had to use it. And the other thing about the material, though, I'm just assuming, again, I've only used it once, so I can't really say this for sure, but I'm just assuming with that ultra soft material, it's probably not going to have the best durability. That's generally how it goes with frogs. The softer it is, the less durable it becomes. So that's definitely kind of a negative and a positive, I guess, in the same. Hookup ratio is amazing, but the durability is probably going to be lacking. The durability, though, part of that is in the price. It's only a $7 frog, which is pretty much as cheap as it's ever going to get in the hollow body frog market. So even though you might be going through some of them because the durability, I'm just guessing, is not going to be amazing, it is an extremely cheap frog. You can load up on a bunch of them. So the overall price to durability ratio, honestly, is probably about the same as all frogs on the market. It's cheaper, but it's not going to last quite as long. Now, going into a couple other unique things about this frog outside of just the super soft material. The first one is going to be this giant hole in the butt where the hooks come out. Initially, when I opened the package, I was thinking this has got to be a mistake. This frog is going to take on a ton of water and just be terrible. It's going to sink immediately. Why is there a giant hole in the bottom is pretty much what I was thinking. But I had to give it a fair shot, and on actually using it, I'm not sure how, but it really does not take on any water. I didn't have it sinking on me once at all. I honestly don't know how it happens. There's a giant hole, but somehow no water gets in there, and it just didn't take on any water or sink for me throughout the whole day of fishing. Another thing it does, which is unique, is along with that soft material, the big hole lets air escape incredibly quickly, which again helps it collapse quicker and easier, to improve hookup ratio further. I literally don't know how they do it. There should be water entering there, but it just doesn't somehow. And then another really unique thing is normal frogs, like here's a Strike King Sexy Frog, have a button weight right there on the butt of the frog to help keel it, to help give it weight. The Scum Frog Leapfrog, the weight is on the shank of the hook. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but instead of having a button weight where that hole is, it is actually kind of on the shank, much like the core tackle. I forget what it's called, but one of the core tackle products, or a number of their products, have kind of shank weighted systems, and that's kind of exactly what this is. It's a little bit hard to see on camera, but yeah, the weight is actually on the shank of the hook. Now, functionally, I haven't noticed this honestly does anything. I didn't feel any different. It didn't walk any different. It didn't cast any different. But it's definitely unique, kind of cool design. There was one negative of it, though. The frog often would, when I first casted, when it first hit the water, it would be upside down. Because the weight is kind of inside, closer to the midline, and not right on the bottom, it did not stay upright when you first hit the water. Once you started working it, it would always correct. After a couple pops, it would flip over onto its belly and work the proper way. But I did notice when it first hit the water, it would be belly up a lot of the time and took a couple seconds to get it to flip over. Not a huge deal when you're fishing more open or sparse cover, but if you were fishing thicker cover, that would kind of be an issue. Those hooks down, a soft material bait, it's going to snag a bit. But again, it was designed to be more of an open water, sparse cover frog, so it's not really that big of an issue. Kind of an annoyance to have to flip it back over with a couple pops, but I don't know if it's actually going to cost you any fish. The next thing I want to talk about is the paint jobs. The paint jobs are 10 out of 10. Scum Frog and Snag Proof make the best looking frogs in the industry, in my opinion. As you can see, that detail is just absurd on that bluegill one. This one is the burnt toad, and I even have another bone one, but that one is the one I was fished yesterday. So it is still rigged up on my rod. I don't have it with me. But the paint jobs are phenomenal, and I am a believer that sometimes, not necessarily all the time, but sometimes the realism, the paint jobs of your frogs make a big difference. You know, you hear a lot of guys say, just throw a white, just throw a black, and that might catch you 90% of your bass. But I think 10% of the time, you really do got to match the hatch or just really pay attention to detail and kind of really persuade those bass into biting. And the eyes are a big thing for me. I always look at the eyes when I'm buying a frog. This might just be my own personal preference, but I want big, visible, bulbous eyes. These things are awesome. You can see them from the bottom of the frog. They stick out, they glow. These eyes are phenomenal, and that's just a big deal for me. Again, I'm not saying you'll catch way more bass strictly because of the paint job, but it definitely gives me a lot more confidence at the very least that my frog looks exactly like what the bass are eating. Now, when it comes to the action, the walking action, it walks extremely well. Not as easy as like a Strike King pad perch, not quite that easy or that wide of a walk. It's a very kind of in the same place, back and forth, as opposed to like a, you know, the pad perch kind of goes way out to the side a lot, almost like a spook style. This one is a very in place, side to side walking action, but it walks incredibly easy. I had no issues walking it. 1 or 2 pops and you're instantly gonna have it walking side to side. So very easy to walk, very easy to fish. The action looked amazing. The legs, I trimmed them up. These ones are stock. I trimmed up. I always trim up my frog legs. But the legs have a lot of action in the water, a lot of movement. It's kind of a living rubber material as opposed to more of like a spinnerbait skirt type of material like this one. The Sexy Frog from Strike King, it's more of like that really skirt material, like a spinnerbait skirt material, real thin strands. The Scum Frog, Leapfrog has more of a living rubber type of material. I don't know how big of a difference that makes. Honestly, they look pretty much the same to me, but if you're a guy that likes one over the other, it's definitely worth considering. And then another factor when it comes to the action of this frog is how it sits in the water. Some frogs will sit like down at like a 45-degree angle, butt down. This frog sits at a horizontal, just flat on the water surface. A lot of frogs do that too. It's not super unique. I'm assuming though that shank weighted system as opposed to the button weight in the back helps out with that a lot. But yeah, this kind of comes down to just personal preference. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. I personally do prefer my frogs to sit horizontal and flat on the water surface as opposed to down, butt down. But this is just, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. It's just a one guy's opinion and personal preference. Different frogs do different things. It's not that big of a deal, but it's definitely something to consider if you like your frogs to do one or the other. Now, my overall finishing thoughts on the Scum Frog Leapfrog pretty much is that it is a very good budget frog because of the potential durability issues. I don't think it's necessarily an all-purpose frog. It's extremely soft, so if you're fishing really heavy cover, you're going to catch on some stuff. You're going to snag a little bit, especially because, like I mentioned, it does have a little bit of trouble when you first cast it staying upright in the water. It will kind of flip onto its back. And with that ultra soft material, you're likely to snag. But it's designed to be an open water frog. That's kind of what they marketed it as. That's what they designed it to be. So as a budget or open water frog, I think it does its job extremely well. The action's great. The hookup ratio is tremendous. The paint jobs, like I mentioned, phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Really doesn't get better in the frog market, in my opinion, when it comes to paint jobs. So if you're looking to fish a new fun frog and not spend too much money, I think the Leapfrog is a great option. It's definitely not going to break the bank. It's really fun to throw just because the paint jobs are amazing. The action is great, just like any other frog. And there are some unique things about it. You don't really notice some of the differences in the design, like the big hole in the butt or the belly-weighted, shank-weighted hook style. They don't really feel different, but it's definitely something fun and new to try out. And if you are more of an open water frog fisherman, this honestly will be a big player for you because that hookup ratio is just so high. Now, I do not have any affiliate links with them, and I think they're all sold out on Tackle Warehouse. I bought mine, though, from American Baitworks. I think that's the only place right now where they're in stock, so if you do want to get some, you're not going to be able to get them on Tackle Warehouse. Go to American Bait Works. They sell a ton of Scum products, snack-proof products, and a bunch of others as well. So yeah, if you want to test this frog out, it's definitely very fun to fish. And so far, I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10. The durability is just pretty much the only thing that brings it down. Durability is a big thing in really any fishing scenario. But I guess I can't really knock them too much because it's designed to be an open water, ultra soft frog, so durability is just kind of a necessary evil in that type of frog.